It's a huge midsummer racing weekend in the Circle City of Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to kick it off live on FS1 as we go short track racing with ARCA.
Welcome everyone to Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis. It's a hot, steamy night.
The ARCA Series drives into the second half of the season in the Hoosier State.
Great field of cars tonight here at Indy.
It's been a wild season so far. But we're just getting started. The 11th race of the season starts now.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, is ready for round 11 of the 2017 championship season with the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200 from Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside Phil Parsons as we get set to go racing here tonight. It has been a very, very hot day here in the Indianapolis area. It's going to be much different racing tonight than what these drivers and teams practiced on today, Phil.
Yeah, and all those guys told me that it was really, really slippery on the racetrack today. But the good news is a number of these teams, most of the good cars, actually tested here last weekend at night. So they have really good notes on what this racetrack will do tonight as it cools off. We saw track temperatures over 130 degrees today. It's going to cool way down tonight. Ambient, not so much, but without the sun on the racetrack, it's going to be a lot cooler on the track.
As you think about those teams and drivers that did have the opportunity to come test here, who do you think has an edge going into tonight's race?
Well, most of the talk in the garage area centers around about four guys. First of those being Christian Eckes in the 15 car. He's only run 6 ARCA races this year. He's been in the top 10 each and every time he's been out. He's going to be very fast tonight. Michael Self also in the 28 car. He's only run 3 ARCA races this year, but the last 2 times he was in an ARCA car, he finished in the top 5. He's going to be fast. How about Austin Terrio? He's our point leader. He's won 3 times. He's the guy everyone's trying to beat. He was also fast, and he's starting up in the top 5 in that 52 car. And the last one is our most recent winner at Iowa last time out, Dalton Sargent. He's a 2-time winner this year. He's driving the car that won the race last year with Chase Briscoe. He's going to be fast as well.
Well, all these drivers are settling into their current race car. We had a chance to ask them in our general tire driver profile, what was your first car, period?
First personal car was a 2005 Jeep Wrangler with really big tires and really bright lights. That was when I was in high school and spent way too much money on the radio system. You could probably hear it from a mile away, but I still have that Jeep and I love it. It's my favorite vehicle. It still sits there in the shop. It gets pampered.
In high school, there was an older gentleman that had an 86 Lincoln Town Car, and he was asking $800 for it. And I paid him cash for my first car. It's a huge car. They're really big. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but you can fit a lot of people in it, and they ride really smooth.
I drive a Toyota Tacoma 2013. I got it as a surprise, so honestly, I didn't want a normal car, but I didn't want a big truck, so I guess I got something in between.
First personal car was a red F-150, and I got it lifted and got big tires and wheels on it, and Dad doesn't know this, but I've taken it off-roading a couple times, but that's fun too.
Looks like Austin's Lincoln also works pretty good as a snowplow. Yeah, you and I were thinking the same way. You've had a lot of race cars. What was your first street car?
1973 Plymouth Satellite taxi cab, and it had no radio or air conditioning. How about you?
Well, for me, it was an American muscle car, 73 Grand Sport with a big old 455.
Ooh, big block.
Yeah, big block. Speaking of big blocks, we got some great American muscle cars right here getting ready to go racing. As we get set, ARCA stock cars set to go. Welcome back to the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200, getting close to race time here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park in Brownsburg, Indiana, suburb of Indianapolis. We said earlier it was hot. It's going to be hot even tonight. Not quite as hot as today, but still pretty warm, 82 degrees right now.
Yeah, it was up over 90 earlier today. As you could see, the high was 92.
Taking a look now at the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge standings. 40 points separate Austin Terrio and Dalton Sargent, and this is just for the short track races, which there's 11 of them.
Yeah, there's 11 of them. They take the best 10 finishes out of that, and you can see Christian Eckes only 95 points behind. Long way to go.
The General Tire Pole Award tonight goes to Austin Cindric, and he set a new track record at 22.199, and it's his first ARCA pole.
Yeah, that was very fast and really surprising as fast as he went with the conditions that we had. But great lap by Austin Cindric. He's run 6 ARCA races. He's finished in the top 2, 3 of those.
Taking a look now at the Sioux Chief starting grid, and the 99 is going to go to the outside. He has a choice.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. The groove, if it's not right against the wall, it's going to move that way. You can make some time on the bottom early on when the tires are fresh, but I think it's the right move to move to the outside for Austin Cindric.
As you take a look back through the grid here, you know, this is a short track tonight, Phil, but boy, it's a fast one.
It really is. This racetrack is almost 7/10 of a mile, so it's very close to being 3/4 of a mile. And a lot of action here. You can see those guys. There's a lot of, it's very wide, and these guys will try to use all of that. They'll be right down against the grass and right up against the wall.
Taking a look back through the rest of the starting field, there's Thomas Prater. Dale Shearer in the field as well. Mike Munier and Mike Basham as well. To the tail end of the field we go. Cars warming up, getting the tires ready to go, which gives us an opportunity to take a look through our onboards here tonight. 4 great views for you.
Yeah, we're going to ride along in the Gree cooling products onboard. That's Gus Dean and his Toyota. He's 5th in points, and he will start from the 15th spot.
Michael Self has an onboard for us as well, giving us a view with the Sinclair oil camera. He's going to roll off 9th tonight.
We're also going to ride along in a General Tire onboard. That's Christian Eckes, the New York Bus Sales Toyota, and Christian will start from the 3rd spot.
As we work our way from deeper in the field to the front, there sits Riley Herbst with the UFC Gym onboard camera going off 2nd. Well, let's take a look at our Scott Rookie of the Race. Let's go down trackside. Here's Jim Trader.
And Ralph, we're going to focus on the youngest driver in the field in our Scott Rookie Spotlight tonight is Christian Eckes, the driver of that number 15 Toyota. In those 6 races, guys, he's led in 5 of the 6 events. Out of all the drivers, he's led the 2nd most laps of the entire season. That's 10 races. This kid is good. His best effort to this point, just shy of the victory at Elko Speedway after leading 91 laps. Christian Eckes, that number 15, young man at 16 years of age, is a driver to watch. His crew chief is veteran Jeff McClure. Jeff said, I think we have a better car on the longer runs, which could prove huge here tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody you're going to want to keep an eye on here tonight, Jim, no doubt about it. Let's look at our Sioux Chief race analysis. 200 laps tonight.
Yeah, 200 laps, 137 miles. You see our pit window somewhere around 120 to 130 laps, but these guys will want tires before that. We'll see them stop twice for tires.
Let's flip it around and take a look at our General Tire track facts. Ramos Stott won the first race here back in 1971.
Wow, 46 years ago. We've had 11 different races here and 11 different winners. No repeat winners here. And the last time this race was won from the pole, that was Brandon Jones back in 2014.
Jim Trano, just before we go green here tonight, I know tires are going to be a story. There's 4 on the car that they're beginning with, which are the same tires they qualified with. How about in the pits?
Ralph, these drivers have all told me there's not enough tires in the pits. There's only 6 tires. There's a set of 4 fresh General tires and a set of 2, a total of 6 tires. So generally, everybody's going to go for right side tires at some point and ideally take 4 tires later in the race. That has proven to be a winning strategy, as has 4 tires early in the race while everybody tries to fight their way back through the field. Travis Braden had the winning strategy by taking 4 tires early back here in 2015.
Yeah, he was forced to do that, but he got the lucky dog. He was the only guy to put tires on, and then we went green the rest of the way, and the guys didn't have a chance to put their other tires on.
Manage those tires tonight. You might find yourself in victory lane.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Getting ready to go green. That's Riley Herbst on the inside in the 18. Austin Cindric on the outside of the 99. Remember, it's Austin in the 99 who actually won the pole. He had the choice, inside or outside. Getting ready to go for 200 laps here. Green flag waves and we're underway.
Oh, what a nice jump by Austin Cindric. 2-3 car length lead.
Boy, and he just stretches it out too as Herbst tucks into 2nd place with Austin Theriault in the 52 moving into 3rd and closing in as well as the 15 of Christian Eckes.
See, the 78 of Trevor Knowles was down on the bottom. Now he's going to tuck in line as well, right behind the 15 of Eckes. That's Trevor in the 78 car.
and the 12 of Sheldon Creed out of Alpine, California, in that United Rentals Toyota. When Creed's been getting a lot of laps on a lot of different types of stock cars, and he comes out of the off-road truck racing form.
Yeah, he actually runs Robbie Gordon's truck series. Stadium truck series is what I was trying to say. Yeah. See, Eckes moved down to the inside. Try to make a move on that second place car of Herbst. I'm sorry, third place car of Terrio in the 52.
Everybody right now, Phil, running pretty high as a groove, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's where the groove is. This racetrack is progressively banked. It's a little flatter down on the bottom. You get up next to the wall, that's where it's banked the most, and that's where the majority of the speed is.
See Sheldon Creed, he's in that white and red 12, right behind the 15 of Eckes out of Middletown, New York. He's trying to get that middle groove to work a little bit there. You're also going to stress those tires out down there too, aren't you?
Yeah, you get a little bit greener racetrack down there. He may abuse those tires a little bit, but he knows that he doesn't have to keep those tires on the entire race. So if you're going to do it, let's try it now and see if you can make it work.
Trying to get 3 grooves working in the corners here. Here's Creed again, looking inside.
You can really drive down in there really hard, but it's really hard to get the power down in the center of the corner. You see him have to tuck in behind the 15 of Eckes.
Cindric already 2 seconds up on Herbst.
Yeah, Herbst was the fastest car on the racetrack that time. He ran a couple tenths of a second faster than Austin Cindric.
Here's Cindric in that 99.
Cindric coming off a top 10 finish at Eldora just a couple nights ago. First time on dirt for him. Did a very nice job. Looked like a pro on the dirt at Eldora.
His dad, of course, Tim Cindric, man who runs everything for Roger Penske at Penske Racing. And Austin is another one of those drivers who's been in a wide variety of race cars already in what is a very young racing career.
Yeah, without a doubt. He started in Bandos and then moved to the Legend Car Series, and then the majority of his early racing on the road courses around the world, actually. Now he's getting some great stock car experience running trucks for Brad Keselowski full time.
Here's the 22 machine trying to hang on. Shane Lee being challenged pretty hard by the Sinclair-backed Chevrolet of Michael Self, the number 28.
Here we talk about Michael Self running a handful of ARCA races. He's also running full time out in the K&N West Series for Bob Roncati and doing very well out there.
That's Zane Smith in the 55, reeling them in as well. For our viewers at home, they might hear what we call the cars getting up on the chip a lot as they get down towards the end of the straightaways.
Yeah, these guys can run any rear end gear they would like, but they're limited to a certain number of RPMs with these Ilmor engines. So they can run as much gear. A lot of these guys qualifying, they were hitting the rev limiter at the start finish line. But now as the pace slows down, then they will be able to carry that power a little bit farther down the straightaway.
Look at this, side by side now for position as this battle continues. It's a fight for fourth. Eckes in the 15 and Creed on the inside in the 12.
Yeah, Creed is doing a really nice job keeping that power down, getting the power down. Looks like he has Eckes cleared right here to take over that spot.
Made that middle groove work nicely.
Yes, he did. He's been working on it since the drop of the green flag.
Eckes trying to close back in. Here's a look at your General Tire leaderboard at the Sioux PowerPEX 200, where Austin Cindric is leading the field. Austin Cindric in the 99 came to the Sioux PowerPEX 200 for his first ARCA race of the year, set a track record in qualifying, and Phil Parsons, he is really pushing away from the field. He's already 3 seconds up on Riley Herbst.
Yeah, putting a lot of good cars a lap down. That's AJ Fike, the 27 car, going down a lap, and he's running 19th.
He's led all 17 laps so far here tonight on the scheduled 200.
How about that's the 5 of Bobby Gerhardt that's next on his hit list. Bobby running in the 18th spot. Long-time competitor here in the ARCA Racing Series.
And there's Travis Geisler, who works as a competition director at Penske Racing. He works underneath Austin's dad, Tim Cindric. A lot of folks keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Travis was a former racer himself. Good battle right here. That's Zane Smith, the 55, trying to get underneath the 22 of Shane Lee, the 51 of Chad Finley, right behind that duo.
And Chad in that Auto Value Airlift Company back Chevy, the white car with the black numerals on the side.
Right behind them is the 77 of Dalton Sargent. We're waiting for him to make his move. I was talking to his crew chief, Chad Bryan. He said, we really had a great long run car. Didn't think we were going to qualify very well and maybe not be that good early, but we felt like as the race progressed, we would really be good. You could caught a glimpse of him right there.
Coming inside, here's the 55 machine. Thinking about it, Zane Smith out of Huntington Beach, California, trying to make a move. Has to tuck back inside, but seems to have pretty good mid-corner speed.
I've seen a lot of cars make some nice moves on the middle of the racetrack. We saw Sheldon Creed early make that pass through the middle of the racetrack. Now Chad Finley's going to dive underneath Zane Smith and maybe try to get both of those guys. Again, it's a little bit harder to get the power down, but Chad does a nice job getting that power down, staying even with Shane Lee, and see if he can beat him down in the corner, and he does.
Does a great job, and the 55 is going to go right with him. Smith trying to see if he can get the job done before they catch up to the 10 of Zach Ralston running on the bottom.
Yes, these guys find themselves about 8 seconds behind our leader, Austin Cindric, right now.
The thing I like about Austin's pace right now is he doesn't seem to be really stressing the car either. These guys all racing pretty hard back here. His tires not taking the abuse these guys are.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of great guys on the pit box. We caught a glimpse of Travis Geisler. Brian Wilson, a winning crew chief in the Xfinity Series for Penske Racing, is calling the shots for Austin. So he's got some real experience on top of the pit box.
Gus team with that green cooling products onboard camera giving us this view as the 32 reels into the backside of Dalton Sargent's big time 4. Smoke out of the 0 car on the inside. Con Nicolopoulos.
You can hear how hard it is to get the power down. Almost all the way off the corner before the guys can get full throttle. Listen to him play with a throttle through the center of the corner. Justine trying to make his way underneath the 77 of Sargent. It's the green cooling products onboard camera.
Down into turn 3 we go, and then down to the pits we go with more from Jim Trano.
Well, guys, just a few laps ago, Chad Finley was trying to break in the top 10. Now he runs 7th in that number 51 Airlift Chevrolet. 1 year ago, he raced his tail off to 5th in a steel-body car. And Phil, perhaps you can relate to this. It was 100 pounds heavier than the cars he's racing today with the composite bodies, but he had to work hard to get that 5th place finish. His strategy at the winning run at Nashville was pit early for 2, come in to make a chassis adjustment on the second pit stop, and save the 4 for late. They are not telling me their strategy, but Finley has a lot better race car, he feels, today than he did 1 year ago. He ran top 5.
You know, Jim made a great point about the composite body cars. They've been eligible for 38 events since they were introduced, and 29 of those races they went to victory lane of the 38. So very great cost-saving move by the ARCA Racing Series, along with the ARCA Elmore engine too. It's been 50 events since the ARCA Elmore engine was introduced. They've won every single one of them.
Oh, look at the quality of the racing we got going on right here. As you can see, the door-to-door racing into the corners for the battle for 5th.
Yeah, Michael Self, the 28, able to get by the 15 of Eckes. Trevor Knowles, the 78 car, is trying to do the same thing. First ever ARCA start for Trevor Knowles. Has some experience in the Cars Racing Tour. Had 3 poles in that series, and along with some top 5 finishes, and he makes the pass.
More challengers to the inside. Here comes the 51 we were just talking about, Chad Finley, who also has a 3rd this year at Toledo.
See, Chad all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack was able to make the pass on Eckes. We talk about these guys. Ooh, a little bit sideways by Trevor Knowles. Look at Chad Finley. Look at the run he gets off the bottom.
Multiple grooves starting to form here a little bit. Early on, we thought maybe it was going to be at the very top. Now these guys have moved, some of them exploring the grooves a little bit further down, and it seems to be working.
It's so inviting down there. It's such a shorter way around the racetrack. We've seen a lot of guys make that work over the years. Again, the primary groove is on the outside, but some guys can make it work on the bottom. Chad Finley now is on his way up, trying to get a top 5 spot.
That's Bobby Gerhard in the 5 on the outside. The faster cars coming through on the bottom, inside of it.
Michael Self going to fight back on the outside. You see how flat it is. You can actually visually see how much flatter it is down at the bottom of the racetrack than it is up higher where Michael Self's running. But Finley gets that spot, does a little bit of a slide job on Michael Self.
Yeah, Self was right up under his back bumper too, wasn't he? Now you see him losing a little bit of ground here. And back up to that upper groove they go.
So hard to get the power down. We could hear Michael Self. These cars have over 700 horsepower that they're trying to hook up here on this almost 7/10 of a mile racetrack.
Yeah, it is a big short track.
It really is. Get a lot of speed. The pole was, they averaged over 111 miles an hour for Austin Cindric getting this pole. Probably speeds 135, 140 miles an hour entering the corner.
Here's Austin. Now he's lost a little bit of time to Riley Herbst. It's inside of 2 seconds as we go on board with Riley, who's dealing with traffic. And I'm going to guess that that's probably why we saw Cindric lose a little bit of time, just moving through traffic.
Exactly, a little bit of time there. He was down to under a second lead just a few laps ago, but then Riley Herbst caught some traffic, and now it's about a second and a half.
So far, the Cunningham Motorsports Ford of Austin Cindric continues to lead the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. Austin Cindric continues to lead the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200 here at Lucas Oil Raceway. It's one of the short track races for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Their next one will be August 6th at Winchester Speedway, Winchester, Indiana. But the next race for the series, Phil, we're going to be in Pocono.
Yeah.
Big track there, and you'll see that on FS1 next Friday.
Absolutely. Just about a week away. Second visit to Pocono for the ARCA Racing Series this year.
Riley Herbst, the winner of the first round there. There is the 18 of Riley Herbst, who is now within a second of Cindric.
Yeah, he keeps gaining on a little bit. Those cars are pretty even. Last lap, Austin Cindric had the fastest time. Riley Herbst was the second fastest lap. They have a pretty good gap over the third place car. The 52 of Austin Terrio right now holds down that third spot. There he is, just coming off turn number 4, the white car with the black roof. Austin, what a great season he's had this year, Ralph. 3 wins. He's never finished out of the top 10 all year long.
Yeah, his worst finish, a 9th, which came at the first race at Pocono. But outside of that, boy, he's been just dominant. Only 2 races outside the top 5.
Yeah, very, very strong all year long for Kenny Schrader. But the guy on the move, Sheldon Creed, there he is in that 12 car. You talked earlier about the different divisions and types of racing that he's done this year. He finished 3rd our last time out at Iowa in the ARCA Racing Series. Started back in the 6th spot. He's moved it up a couple spots to the 4th spot. Kind of a throwback paint scheme that has the look of a car that Bobby Allison ran years ago, that number 12 car.
Well, and if you remember, it's also like Davey Allison's ARCA car from back in the early 80s.
That's right.
Let's get a little bit more on the 12 as he continues to run here.
He had a runner-up finish at Orange Show Speedway in the K&N West Series earlier this year.
He's running that higher line right now. Creed having a pretty good run. Phil, we've already completed 50 laps. We're a quarter of the way in here, and as we talked about, probably 2 stops tonight.
Yeah, this race is going by really fast. There's Chad Finley. He's on the move as well. He's moved up to the 5th spot. Our winner earlier this year at Nashville. for his first ARCA win. Second generation driver. His father Jeff Finley was a ARCA winner back in the day. Big move early on. Started back on the 13th spot, already up to the top 5.
They've run 11 ARCA races here at this facility. Tonight, the 12th in the history of the tour, which began racing here in 1971.
See Michael Self at Sinclair Chevrolet. Number 28 trying to make his way around the 51 of Chad Finley. Michael, again, full-time driver in the K&N West Series for Bob Bruncotti. Running a handful of ARCA starts. 3 races so far this year. This is his 4th start. Always competitive.
How hard do you think it is for these drivers nowadays? As we mentioned, a couple of them have moved around from ARCA to K&N, running K&N East, K&N West, and a variety of different forms of cars. Is it easier for these guys to move around, or is it harder these days?
I think it's really easy nowadays for between the K&N Series and the ARCA Series, because these cars are almost identical. You have composite bodies on both. This composite body was really designed in conjunction with NASCAR for the K&N Series and ARCA for this ARCA Racing Series. So I think now the cars are probably as close as they've ever been. They run a spec engine over in the K&N Series, and they run the ARCA Elmore engine here in the ARCA Series. But they're probably very similar horsepower, and again, these cars are almost identical.
Great opportunity for drivers these days, Jim Trado, to get experience in a variety of tracks as they get ready to work up the ladder in a battle for the lead, and a change in Cindric. Looks like he's got a big problem because that car is dropping like a rock.
Some sort of an issue for sure for Austin Cindric. Look at him slow on the racetrack. We're hearing he has no power.
No power, because you can see the tires are still fully inflated. Oh, what a shame for Austin Cindric, who absolutely dominated the first 54 laps of this race.
Probably some sort of ignition issue. These engines have been really pretty bulletproof since they came on the scene back at the beginning of the 15 season. Looks like Austin may not make it back around. There's a cut in the center of the backstretch if he could turn hard lefter, but I don't think he's going to make it there. ARCA's going to have to put the caution out.
And there it is, the first caution of the night, and it comes from the car you would have least expected to see it from, as Austin Cindric was on an absolutely what looked like flawless run for the first 54 laps of this race. Jim, what are you hearing?
The car shut off. They think it may be the battery. They've got a spare ready for our race leader, Austin Cindric, who slowed dramatically coming off of turn 4 past his pit box.
A winner a year ago at Kentucky. Looked like he was well on his way to certainly putting up a big challenge for the victory here tonight, and instead he's going to get a push to the pit lane.
Yeah, he'll be several laps down. He's already 1 lap down, so this it's going to be tough to overcome this, even if they can get a battery in it.
Well, here's what it looked like as he went down into 3. The power shut off. He was coasting, and Riley Herbst reeled him in and waved bye-bye. Back here in Brownsburg, Indiana, at the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200, cars exiting off of pit road with this first caution coming at lap 59. Everybody took an option to head for pit lane.
Yeah, this was just about the perfect scenario for most of these teams. They said they wanted to put their right sides on around lap 60, so I think that's pretty much what everyone did. Just 2 tires for most of these guys. Isn't that so, Jim?
A lot of 2-tire changes on this end of pit road. I was monitoring what Austin Cindric's team has done. They put the battery in for their former race leader. He was pushed to his pit stall while the pits were still closed. They changed the battery. They said, how are your gauges now? He said, everything's back to normal. So Cindric may have the fastest car on the racetrack, but unfortunately cost a lot of time with that engine shutting off under green.
Kind of a rarity normally to see a battery causing a problem like that, although maybe we've seen more of that as an issue this year than in previous years.
Yeah, and normally you get a little bit of warning that it'll start missing and stuff before it just shuts off completely. But, you know, the ARCA Series isn't like the Cup Series. The Cup Series has fans on all the tire beads, fans on the brakes, fans on the driver, fans on the driver's feet. There's so much of a tax on the battery. Not so much here in the ARCA Racing Series, but the problem is for Austin is he's now 4 laps down.
Looks like he's heading back to pit road. Jim, maybe this time coming to get the tires, maybe they just change the battery and send them out. Maybe they want to get the tires on the car now.
Trying to minimize the number of laps lost.
Let's see. Let's go back to Jim. What are they doing now, Jim? Well, it looks like they're going to go with all 4 tires this time.
Yeah, being 4 laps down, he needs to change something, needs to do something different. He should have by far the fastest car on the racetrack. He was the fastest car on the racetrack before dead even. Now he probably has maybe one of the only guys that has 4 fresh tires. He needs to go out there, get in front of the leader, try to get a lap back. He needs to do that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. What was looking like a cruise is now turned into a really hard night of work.
But it'll be a great experience for Austin.
Oh, yeah. Well, that PowerPEX Back 99 was certainly a very fast race car while the battery was working.
Good pit work by Sheldon Creed's bunch to get him out second. Riley Herbst will maintain the lead.
Herbst in the 18, Creed in the 12.
Chad Finley, Austin Theriault will line up in row number 2.
With Cindric having his problems, there was 9 other cars in the top 10 that suddenly went, all right, we got a shot now.
I think about everyone in the field said, all right, we have a shot now. We're only showing right now 13 cars on the lead lap.
Here's Riley's onboard view with that UFC Gym onboard camera. Outside was where Cindric started from at the initial green and worked for him. Let's see if it can work for Riley Herbst. Here we go.
How about Sheldon Creed able to wrestle a lead away from the bottom of the racetrack?
Creed does a great job, but it looked like, and yeah, we're able to confirm it here, it looks like Eckes had bent the hood up. He's going to get off the racetrack, so we'll stay green. And we have a new leader in Sheldon Creed.
What a tough break for one of our pre-race favorites, Christian Eckes. What great racing we have here. Austin Theriault, Chad Finley racing for that second spot.
And Herbst in the 18 looked like he was going to make it 3 wide, but he decides not to, as that 78 of Trevor Knowles gets in there as well. Watch the 15 here.
He's right behind the green and white car. A little bit of a jam up there, just a chain reaction. The farther back you go, the more vulnerable you are, and he certainly got the worst of it.
And the harder to see it is what's going on in front of you.
Exactly right. How about Chad Finley now going for the lead? Do a little slide job.
All of a sudden, we've swapped this lead with 3 different drivers having the lead here in just the last few laps in contact coming off of Ford, but Creed hangs on and maintains second place for now.
Been pretty impressed with Trevor Knowles in that 78 car here. First ever ARCA Racing Series start. He's been battling up towards the top 5. Now he's in the top 5.
Chad Finley leads this pack as they battle side by side. He's able to stretch it out by a car length or 2. Herbst now way down on the bottom. Seeing if he can make that part of the racetrack work for that number 18.
Trevor Knowles takes over that second spot in the 78 car for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Now Theriault's going after him in the 52.
And keep an eye on Zane Smith, the 55, starting to reel him in, that all-black machine.
Look at Creed all the way down on the bottom. Look how much flatter it is down there. Look at him wiggle in the center of the corner.
Car really moving around on him, and he gets into the side of the 52, but straightens it back up, and here comes Herbst to the inside of him now.
Riley Herbst is saying, what on earth happened to me? I had the lead here. I was running well, and all of a sudden I'm finding myself fighting for the 4th spot.
Gus Dean in the 32. He's moving up into this pack as well. We really have about 6 cars all fighting over second place right now.
Without a doubt. Chad Finley's loving that as he drives away now to over a second lead.
You can see him up front in the distance leading this group. Here comes Dean looking inside of Zane Smith's 55.
Gus Dean's had a pretty good run early on here. Started back in the 15th spot. Well up into the top 10 now.
Theriault just in front of Knowles. And here comes Cindric in that 99, trying to get through all these guys to get a lap back.
Remember now, 4 fresh tires for Austin Cindric. He ought to be able to just drive right by these guys. And obviously we know how good his car was anyway, even without a tire advantage.
Inside to pass the 32. Now looking to the outside of the 55. He'll hold here for a minute.
What he wants to do now, he's got to get up there and pass our leader to have an opportunity to get a lap back. He will not get the free pass. There's too many cars 1 and 2 laps down. That won't happen for a while. He needs to be able to get down to 1 lap down on his own.
Oh boy, leaning on each other coming off the corner. Closing in on the halfway point. Self in the 28.
This guy's battling for the 8th position right here. See how much harder Gus Dean can drive in the corner from the outside. Michael Self's going to try the middle of the racetrack as they move around the lap car. That's Dale Shearer in the 94. Just about has him cleared, but not quite.
There it is. And moves up a little bit to take the line and the spot away.
Moves Self up to the 8th spot.
Meanwhile, up front, Finley continues to lead in the 51. He's 1.7 seconds up in front of the 52. Well, there's been a lot of bumping and banging as the pack tries to squabble over the top 5 positions. We're coming back for more. 2017 is the 65th season of ARCA Racing, as they return once again to Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. 119 laps left to go here tonight. Here's the 18 of Herbst, currently in 5th, right behind Knowles in that 78.
Good battle for the 4th spot here. Austin Terrio right now rides in the 2nd spot. Sheldon Creed in the 3rd spot, and our leader continues to be Chad Finley. Caught a glimpse just for a moment of Austin Cindric. Now he's got in front of this battle for the 4th spot. He has to drive up and try to catch Chad Finley to try to get one of his laps back. He's 4 laps down right now.
Yeah, listed in 19th position. Here's Herbst looking inside.
A good move through the center of the corner. Can't quite stay up there with him. Let's see what he can do down here as he drives it hard down through the middle of the racetrack. See if he can do the slide job to take over that spot. And he does. Knowles is going to fight back on the inside. Maybe he'll return the favor and do the same thing down at this end of the racetrack.
Here they come down into 1 and 2, and Knowles just can't get up alongside of him. Riley seems to have some really good speed through the center of the corner.
Yes, he does. Yes, and then he has that outside groove as well. He was able to make the pass from the inside by doing a little bit of a slide job.
Riley, one of the 4 cars to lead laps here tonight. Most, of course, led by Cindric, 54 laps, and he just flat dominated the first 54. Since then, we've had 3 different cars after him who led already here. Here's Self in the 28. He's got 8th position.
He's been able to get by. He actually took over the 7th spot. Got by Zane Smith in the 55 car to take over 7th. So Michael Self is on his way forward.
Well, it's so deceiving, isn't it? You can see how they have to really ease on the throttle coming off the corner, but the way you're looking at it from behind the windshield, it looks like a big wide open corner, like you should be able to just mat it and let it go.
Yeah, caution's out on the racetrack now, though. We're hearing debris on the racetrack, Ralph.
Well, there's one break for Austin.
That's right.
Cindric.
Well, he didn't get in front of Finley.
That's right. He hadn't gotten around him yet, has he?
Hadn't gotten around him yet.
So debris in turn 1.
I don't think that was the debris. It looked like just a piece of tape.
This will be the 2nd caution of the night. Well, we saw some pretty good battling when we had that first restart at the end of that first caution. So we'll see if we pack them up again when we get.
Yeah, too early for these guys to come in and get their 4 tires. They ideally want to wait to somewhere between 120 or 140 laps. So these guys were only in about 25, 30 laps ago. So I think we'll see everyone stay on the racetrack unless they need a chassis adjustment. But I don't think we'll see anybody putting their tires on now.
Looks like everybody's going to stay out, so we'll take an opportunity to get the pit stop ourselves here. We'll be right back for more live coverage on FS1. Our race leader tonight has already found his way to victory lane this year. Chad Finley back at Nashville in early April found his way to the checkered flag.
Yeah, great battle right here with the 78 of Kyle Weatherman. Kyle not here this evening running a limited schedule for Mason Mitchell Motorsports, but great run by Chad Finley to get that first career win.
That fairgrounds track in Nashville, another big, fast, short track.
Yeah, about a 5/8 of a mile racetrack. A lot of history at that speedway.
Oh, yeah. And he continues to lead here tonight as we're working our second caution. 11 laps completed so far tonight under yellow here at the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. Let's get some more on Chad Finley. Let's go down to Jim Trado.
Well, guys, Chad Finley stayed out on that caution. His crew chief said, no way are we coming this early. We need to save those tires for later. Chad Finley, as I mentioned earlier, had a strategy where he made an adjustment mid-race at Nashville and saved tires for later. That played out perfectly for the 22, the big-time Ford of Shane Lee. He came in pitted just a moment ago. Just an adjustment on the chassis. Same for the 23 of Brett Holmes. The number 55 of Zane Smith also came to pit road under this caution. They thought they hit the debris on the racetrack. They wanted to make sure the car was fine. The nose looked fine. They sent him back on his way. That's why they're starting so deep in the field.
Yeah, with so few cars on the lead lap, it's really not a huge disadvantage to come down pit road right now, only showing 12 cars on the lead lap.
There goes Thad Moffitt by in the 46.
So Richard Petty's grandson.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of eyes on him tonight, huh?
Without a doubt. Yeah, the King and Dale Inman both came over. Kyle was also here at the racetrack. How about that 46 car, Jim?
Yeah, there's something about Thad Moffitt and testing here. He really enjoyed the racetrack. He said, I did it on iRacing, but when I got here for the test last week, man, was this track fun to drive. He held speed all through practice, and certainly the highlight for all the other racers that are jumping in saying, hey, King, can I get a picture? He spent a lot of time on pit road with Thad. Richard Petty's daughter, Rebecca, is Thad's mother. Rebecca's married to Brian Moffitt, and he's also the marketing guy at RPM. So they were here. Nice family opportunity, but the King and Dale Inman said, you know what? We're going to watch this race on Fox Sports 1. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
I don't blame him. Do you, Ralph?
No, it's pretty hot. Pretty hot out there. That's a really good-looking race car, too.
It really is. I talked to Mike Cheek earlier today, the crew chief and car builder, and he said that Thad, they came here to test, and he said, boy, all of a sudden he just clicked, and he moved up the racetrack, really gained some speed, doing a nice job here. Right now he's in a battle to try to get that lap back. He's 1 lap down. He's being shown the first car 1 lap down. That 5 car right behind him, Bobby Gerhardt, he's also 1 lap down. Those are the only 2 cars that are 1 lap down. So what Thad Moffitt wants right now is to get going, stay in front of Bobby Gerhardt, catch another caution, and get that free pass.
Yeah, listed in 13th is Thad. Almost at the halfway mark, too. 13 laps of caution. Is that changing your strategy at all as to what you want to do as far as getting those 4 tires as we approach halfway?
No, I think I want them around 120, 130 laps. Ideally, I probably would want to wait a little bit longer, but I would be afraid if the caution were to come out at lap 120 and you did take the tires and we go green to the end, then you're going to be at a big disadvantage. So I think anywhere around 120, these guys really have to think long and hard about putting them on.
Well, Sunday on Fox, the NHRA hits the Mile High City for some of drag racing's quickest quarter-mile action. It's the NHRA from Denver at 3 p.m. on Fox. All right, getting ready to go back to green here. Finley and Terrio.
How about that 77 car? We talked about him having good long-run speed. Now he's up to the 6th spot, just outside the top 5, making his move towards the front for Dalton Sargent.
In the car that won the race a year ago,
Exactly.
right here. Here we go, coming to the green. The outside groove once again working. Finley locks down the lead.
Trevor Knowles, the 78 on the bottom, trying to stay in front of the 77 of Dalton Sargent.
Dean's been doing a nice job in that 32 as well, hanging around that top 10. You can see him right there.
It's a great battle right here. Absolutely great battle. The 78, Trevor Knowles, the 12 of Sheldon Creed. There's Dalton Sargent, the 77 right behind them. Is he going to make it 3 wide? Not this time. Knowles takes that spot away from Sheldon Creed. Move Knowles up to the 4th spot.
Here's Self in the 28 inside, battling with Dean.
Ooh, we saw Self get a little bit loose down there underneath Dean in the 32 car.
Trying to decide who's going to hold the 7th position. It's going to be Dean for now.
Austin Cindric is around at the start-finish line.
And the caution comes out. And this time, damage to the 99.
Yeah, he was in pretty heavy traffic there. I would not be surprised if there was a little bit of contact, Ralph.
Yeah, that right front, big problems there. It's deflated for sure.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much going to be the end of the night for Austin Cindric. He may be able to stay on the racetrack, but as much damage as that car has and the fact he's 4 laps down.
Man, what a shame when you think about how he ran those first 54 laps. He looked like he was back there with Zane Smith. We'll check it out when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back with our Protect Plus mid-race recap as we're just past the midway point of this race. Austin Cindric showed up tonight, set a track record, took his first pole in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menard, led the first 54 laps, and then all of a sudden,
he lost power. Lost power right there. Riley Herbst, the 18 goes by. Battery quits on the 99 of Austin Cindric. The guys make repairs, but unfortunately loses 4 laps. But the ensuing restart, Ralph, trouble.
Yeah, problems right here for Christian Eckes. They just stack up. He couldn't see it. Runs right into the back, bends up the hood, and then finally some battling for the lead.
Yeah, the 51 of Chad Finley moves by the 12 of Sheldon Creed to take over the lead, and he's been leading ever since.
But boy, Cindric's night has gone from bad to worse. Hard to tell what exactly caused this. We can speculate, but haven't confirmed it. And then Cindric ends up in that inside retaining wall. We have our 3rd caution for the night. 4 leaders. Chad Finley leading right now with 97 to go.
See 3 cautions for 18 laps. We have 12 cars on the lead lap. Bobby Gerhart just got the free pass, so Bobby Gerhart will join those cars on the lead lap.
And Cindric's going to continue to put some laps in. They got that car back out on the track.
I think it's all about experience at this point. Obviously, he's out of contention now with less than 100 laps to go. But I love the fact that he's out there still digging, trying to get more experience.
Working on that right rear of the car too. That's what pushed into that inside retaining wall.
Well, they really did a nice job fairly quickly to repair the damage to that car.
Sure did.
See the ARCA official holding the 99 of Cindric.
Should be just about ready to send him back out as we get set to go back to green. 96 to go now. Let's go down trackside. Here's Jim Trado once again.
Well, guys, crew chief Paul Anders knows a thing or two with Shane Lee's number 22 operation. He's been around this game a long time. Shane Lee, however, not a lot of laps here at Lucas Oil Raceway. They pitted the most recent caution and came down pit road once again in that number 22 Cunningham Motorsports Ford. More adjustments through the rear window for that car, as well as the number 25 That car will start next to him. The 25 machine came down for just adjustments. Spencer Davis, under the direction of Dave Liner, came in for adjustments and went back out, no tire change.
That was a good band, Spencer Davis group, Ralph.
Yeah, sure was.
I don't think there's any relation to this Spencer
I think
Davis.
You're probably right there too. Well, I hope you're enjoying the show tonight. Ralph Shaheen, Phil Parsons, and as you just heard, Jim Trado covered the action for us on pit road. So go back to green here. Lucas Oil Raceway.
Boy, Finley drives it hard down in turn number 1.
Side by side with the 12 on the inside here. Hanging on, Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, Trevor Knowles in that 7-8 is not wanting to give that spot up.
And as we said, keep an eye on the 32 because Dean's got a pretty quick race car.
Yes, he does. He's trying to get by the 77 of Dalton Sargent. See Dalton fight back on the outside. Look at that grip up there. Well, we really see some hard racing right after these restarts, especially when these guys try to gain a spot or two.
Yeah, and I was thinking about what you said too. These guys are gonna have to hang on for a while too because they got a ways to go before they're gonna get those 2 right side tires, or all 4, I should say, this next time.
That's right. They put right sides on around lap number 60, and again we're getting close to that window where they would come in and put the 4 on.
That's gonna feel like a whole new race car, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Trevor Knowles trying to look underneath the 18 of Riley Herbst. That's a battle for the 3rd spot.
Herbst, Knowles, Creed, Sargent, all in this fight right here.
This may be the first race for Trevor Knowles, but that is a very experienced team with Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Kevin Reed calling the shots for that 78 car for Mason Mitchell. Doug Howe calling, ooh, for Sheldon Creed, who just bounced off the wall coming off turn number 4. We caught a glimpse of that.
Yeah. Well, as an off-road truck racer, he's used to bouncing off of the competition, isn't he?
Looked like he made some pretty significant contact with the wall on the exit of turn number 4. Let's see if we can get a look at the right side of this car and see if there's any damage to it. You can see the damage to the right side. Doesn't appear to be that major.
No.
You can see the concrete, though, in the bead of the tire between the tire and the wheel. Take another look at it, Ralph.
Coming up the outside off of 4 here, and it just, oh man, he actually
climbed the wall a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Sure did.
Here's another look at it. It's a vertical wall, but if you hit it at just the right angle, you can get up on it some.
What a nice move by Dalton Sargent, the 7-8, to turn that car hard left.
Herbst.
Give him a little bit more room.
Herbst and Knowles still fighting over 3rd here. Herbst in the Toyota, Knowles in the Chevy.
You know, Mason Mitchell Motorsports has done a real nice job because they've had several different drivers in that 78 car. We saw Kyle Weatherman finish 2nd to Chad Finley at Nashville early this year. Kyle's driven that car in a number of races, but Mason Mitchell Motorsports does a real nice job with a plethora of drivers.
Finley continuing to lead at the front of the field, but just by about a second over Terrio.
And no surprise to see Austin Terrio run well. We talked earlier, has not finished out of the top 10 all year long. 3 wins already this year.
Terrio picking up victories at Daytona, Elko, Minnesota, and Madison, Wisconsin.
We're running that high line through the center of the corner, then kind of diamonds the corner a little bit, gets that car cut in the center, comes off a little bit lower. He does the same thing down at this end. He does indeed do the same thing at this end of the racetrack as he laps around Thomas Prater in the 9 car.
Meanwhile, the race leader seems to be hanging on the high side for the majority of the time. Let's check in with Jim, who looks like he's caught up with Austin Cindric. Well, looks like we're having a little difficulty getting to Jim Tradover now. 82 laps remaining here, the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. And just like Austin Cindric did earlier, Finley now, the next driver to really start taking full command of the lead and actually hanging on for a few laps.
Yeah, and I've been watching the lap times. If he's not the fastest car on the racetrack each lap, he's very close to it. Good battle here, though. Gus Dean, the 32 car, is trying to hold off Michael Self in the 28. Michael's going to drive down through the middle of the racetrack. Dean has the preferred line on the outside, but Michael's able to get on the throttle. But look how he loses that momentum up off the corner. Hard to keep that throttle down. You need that extra room to use that centrifugal force to move that car to the outside.
Lap burned away. They're going to split the 9 and almost get together with Thomas Prater. Self gets a little bit of an advantage this time on the bottom.
Looks like he's got that spot. Moves Self up to the 6th spot.
Wow, that just worked out to his benefit there, didn't it?
Yep, sure did.
Well, for now, with 79 to go, Finley continues to lead here in Indianapolis. We're coming right back for more after this.
Cubs playing some pretty good ball. Trouble on the racetrack too, Vince. Ralph, excuse me.
That's okay. Problems here for the 48 of Brad Smith.
That's the James Hilton car for Brad Smith.
Well, you were just saying during the break, these guys who have been chasing Finley are going to need a caution. This guy needed a caution too. All of a sudden, he's had some problems.
Yeah, he's been in the pits a couple times, finds himself several laps down. Tough break. Trevor Knowles, in his debut, moved up into the top 5. But unfortunately, he now finds himself at least 4 laps down.
Fourth caution of the night. We've had 22 laps under yellow.
Ralph, now the question is, does anybody want to gamble and save those tires till later? I think this is the right time to put those 4 tires on. But if you don't feel like you have a car capable of winning the race, maybe you can hang on here for another 20 or 30 laps and have newer tires than anybody else later on. That might be the time to do something like that. Maybe some of those guys that are just outside the top 5 and don't seem to have the speed to contend with somebody like Chad Finley or Austin Theriault.
Well, let's see what they do here.
Yeah, pit road remains closed right now.
Could be a play for somebody like Riley Herbst or somebody who's right on the edge there, huh?
Yeah, or maybe even somebody like Gus Dean, who's head around a 6th, 7th, 8th place car. Maybe try to steal one with a little bit of strategy.
He's been pretty good tonight.
Yes,
Maybe that's
has.
all he needs, right?
Yeah, Spencer Davis right now running into 10th spot. Shane Lee running 11th.
Riley Herbst, that UFC gym on board camera.
Nice run for him, running 3rd right now. One of our leaders tonight. There's Gus Dean. Gus being shown in the 7th spot, and that Gree Cooling Products on board.
32 is definitely going to be one to contend with as this race winds down. Looks like a lot of guys head. Whoa, there's a fake, but there goes Riley Herbst.
How about that? Chad Finley, Austin Theriault stay on the racetrack.
And Dean stayed out too. Interesting strategy. All right, so this is where we fully expect them to take all 4 of those fresh tires.
Yeah, I think there's no reason to pit unless you're going to put those 4 tires on. You see Zane Smith at 55 pulling in his pit. You see the guys carrying the right side tires around. Here comes Riley Herbst's bunch to the right side. The NOS Energy Drink Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Fresh set of general tires going on.
A little bit of a chassis adjustment. Now the left side general tires go on. Good pit work done for Riley Herbst. He's going to win the battle off pit road. It looks like there's Sheldon Creed, the 12th car, going to follow him out. Comes Zane Smith, Michael Self, and Dalton Sargent, it looks like.
Yep, and he's going to have just inside of 70 laps to get it done with those tires. We'll be right back for the green. Back here at Lucas Oil Raceway, Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200 with 67 laps to go here in Brownsburg, Indiana. Don't call it Claremont.
No, it used to be in Claremont.
It used to be Claremont. It used to be a lot of different things. Indianapolis Raceway Park. Yeah. O'Reilly Raceway Park.
No, it's Lucas Oil.
It used to be Lucas Oil Raceway Park. I've called it that a couple of times here tonight, so it's just Lucas Oil Raceway. Very historic facility, though, in the Indianapolis area. Of course, the home to the Big Go, the U.S. Nationals, the drag strip, which runs basically parallel to the front straightaway of the oval here.
Yeah, let me correct one thing. I mentioned that was Dalton Sargent was coming off pit road. It was actually his teammate Shane Lee. Dalton remained on the racetrack. There he is right there, the big time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports, running in the 3rd spot.
You know, there's a road course here, too.
Yes, there is. My brother Benny raced on the road course. Probably back in the late 60s. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's where a part of the film Winning was filmed on the road course right here in Indianapolis.
Let's take a look at the Scott Rickey points once again. Scott Brand Rookie Challenge. This is what they look like coming in. Look, Gus Dean right there, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith. Christian Eckes is going to have a little bit of a hit in it tonight, though.
Yeah, and he can also not race all the races. They take the best 14, I believe, finishes for the year. Christian, I'm not sure he will even run 14 races. But great battle with Gus Dean and Brett Holmes right now, tied at the top.
On board with Dean. That Gree onboard camera looking up at him.
There's Brett Holmes. We haven't seen Brett much, but Brett's hanging in there right now. He's on the lead lap, being shown in the 11th spot. So good run for Brett. He's coming off 3 top 10s in a row coming into this race, and he actually ran this race last year, ran a limited schedule last year, ran 6th here in Indianapolis last year.
Right over out of Munford, Alabama.
Nice young man.
You know, there's some great young talent in all these different stock car divisions. As we said, some of these drivers who are watching here tonight have run a variety of different series, like Riley Herbst, for example, has put a lot of laps into K&N over the last year or so. But, boy, it's great to see the bright young stars that are coming up through the latter series of stock car racing.
Yeah, without a doubt. We wonder where they're going to come from, where our next star is going to come from. It was just announced this week that Alex Bowman, who got his start here in the ARCA series as well as the K&N series, has been selected to take over for Dale Jr. next year in the nationwide number 88 for Rick Hendricks. So I think the sport is alive and well here. A lot of young talent in the truck series, a lot of young talent here in the ARCA series, as well as the K&N series.
It's natural when you see the big name drivers start to move out and retire that you worry. Then you watch a few races like this, you go, boy, there's some good wheelmen out there.
Yes, there are. I'm really curious to see what happens now. Riley Herbst, that 18 car, is the first guy that came down pit road. See how quickly he's able to get by these guys. And again, right now, those guys that put 4 tires on, they want this race to go green the rest of the way. They don't want to see any more caution flags.
No, they don't. 64 to go as we're making our way towards the restart here. Terrio on the inside, Finley on the outside. Here we go once again.
Well, they were stacking up again. I thought we might see another chain reaction like we did earlier.
Finley makes the outside groove work once again. And look at Dean on the outside of that blue 32.
Yeah, watch that 18 though, Ralph. Remember those 4 fresh tires. Moves to the inside of Dalton Sargent, that 77. That's a battle for 3rd. Watch how he can get on the throttle and actually drive up next to the 52 of Terrio.
Boy, he's got a rocket for now. He's got to make it work as quick as he can. Coming around the inside, that's for 2nd place. Trying to come with him is Creed in the 12. Now can Herbst run down our race leader?
Yeah, I don't think the 51 of Chad Finley is going to be any match for these 4 fresh tires. But he has to be smart. Just realize that these guys have 4 fresh tires. There's nothing you can do about it. You're gambling on getting a caution flag in 20 or 30 laps.
It's up to your crew chief and your spotter to keep reminding you of that, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
Here they go, inside of him. Finley's not going to make it too easy. But Herbst cuts across the nose and takes the lead.
What a great run by Sheldon Creed. Looks, he might take the lead. He does take the lead from Herbst.
And how about Self coming along in the 28? He's now up to 3rd.
And right now, that 51 of Chad Finley's one. We should have pitted. We should have put tires on.
Yeah, he lost 3 spots in half a lap. Joining him is Smith now in the 55 as he comes up behind him.
Yeah, all these guys with 4 tires are making their way towards the front. Michael Self right on the back bumper of the 18 of Herbst. Remember, the 12 car of Creed and the 28 car of Self are teammates for MDM Motorsports.
Boy, Self looks pretty quick too. He's got to the inside of Herbst. Door to door with him through 1 and 2.
These guys are on equal tires, as well as that 12 of Sheldon Creed. Give Michael Self the 2nd spot.
Well, he used up every bit of racetrack between him and Herbst as he gets the pass completed. Teammates now run 1 and 2.
Zane Smith now with those 4 fresh tires up to the 4th spot. Shane Lee now the 22 up to the 5th spot. Right along with Christian Eckes, the General Tire on board. He's right now 2 laps down, but he is the only car, or he's the highest placed car not on the lead lap. There are no cars right now 1 lap down. So he would love to see a caution flag right now to get one of those laps back.
Yeah, he's in 14th.
Neglected to mention that Thad Moffitt, Richard Petty's grandson, was able to get the free pass. He's back now on the lead lap in the 12th spot.
We watched the fight here. 23 is Holmes. Finley, who led many laps early on, they were fighting over 6th.
Yeah, Finley's are going to continue to drop behind all those guys that put tires on it. I think basically, caution is on the racetrack. See the 78 of Trevor Knowles back on the racetrack. Looked like that car stalled. Now it almost looks like it refired, but ARCA had to put the caution out.
So if you're Finley and the rest, you got to come get those tires now.
I think so. I think you don't want to wait. We're barely with 50 laps to go in this race. They saw how much those new tires were worth, and they know all their competition now has a few laps on their tires. So I think they got to come in now and put those tires on. Again, unless you want to gamble, unless you're somebody, somebody that said, hey, I'm going to wait 20 more laps and see what happens.
That'd be a big
Yeah,
gamble,
I don't think I would do that, but that's a possibility.
Here's Creed, the race leader. 5 leaders tonight, 8 lead changes, working our 5th caution. 31 laps completed under yellow tonight. 54 showing to go right now.
Sheldon Creed trying to become a first-time winner here in the ARCA Racing Series. We talked earlier about the composite bodies and the Elmore engines. Since the beginning of the 2015 season, we've had 50 races. In that amount of time, we've had 21 different first-time winners in the ARCA Racing Series.
Could have another one tonight.
Could have another one tonight.
From this fast short track this week to the big fast triangle next week at Pocono.
Yeah, 2.5 miles. Pocono speeds upwards of 190 miles an hour, maybe even 200 miles an hour.
Bradley Herbst the winner there in June.
See, pit road is open.
Yeah, and who's coming down? Here you go.
Here comes Terrio. Finley stayed on the racetrack along with Dalton Sargent. They're really going to roll the dice and hope for a caution in about 20 laps.
Well, that's a big roll.
It is, but with only 12, 13 cars on the lead lap,
yeah,
I mean, if there was 20 cars on the lead lap, I'm not sure they would make that same call.
Well, we know what these guys are going to do. 4 tires. We'll see if they make any adjustments to go with it.
Yeah, Donnie Richardson's going to bring Austin Terrio down for his 4 fresh tires here, just outside of 50 laps to go. There'll be less than 50 laps to go when we restart this race. Saw a little bit of a chassis adjustment in the right rear corner.
Safe move for the team that's leading the points, right? You're in a good spot. It's certainly not going to hurt you. Keeps you competitive here tonight. That's a smart play by Don.
I think you're exactly right. Great move for the point leader.
Yeah. We'll be right back. We'll see what the rest of them do. Do the dice roll the way they need it, or is it going to work out for Creed? It's going to be less than 50 to go when we get back to green. 5 leaders, 8 lead changes. Creed out front. Self, Herbst, Smith, and Lee all in the top 5. And there's still some questions back there. About row 4, you see that white car?
Big gamble for the 51 of Chad Finley and the 77 of Dalton Sargent. Especially Chad Finley, because it appears as though he has the best car.
Yeah.
And the only way he could not be a contender for the win if he doesn't get to put fresh tires on his car if we go green from the rest of the way. Ooh, trouble for Riley Herbst
here.
He's lost power.
All of a sudden they all stacked up and Herbst is slow on the racetrack, and we're going to green, but will the caution come right back out?
I'm not sure he can make it back around. He was already past the entrance of pit road. Look at this racing. Look at Terrio, the bottom of 3 wide.
And how about Finley? Boy, he scooted up there when Herbst had problems, and these two are going to go side by side, and Self leaning on the inside of Creed as we race through 3 and 4. And here comes Zane Smith in the 55.
MDM teammates right now racing 1-2, battling for the lead. And a Venturini car, the 55, right behind him.
Boy, Self does a great job of using up all the racetrack between him and his outside competitor without really leaning on him too hard.
I hate to lean on your teammate.
Yeah, right?
But he also wants that lead here under 50 laps to go, because he knows that those guys that put tires on just now are coming. Here comes Terrio. Terrio already up to the 4th spot. Look at Brett Holmes, the 23, moving inside of the 51 of Finley. There's Gustine. I think Gustine was one of those guys that put tires on just now.
So Herbst must have been able to get off the racetrack if we've stayed green, because I don't see him anywhere. Or at least he's still rolling.
There he is, right there. I think
Look at that.
He must have got that car refired. He's being shown now on our scoring monitor about 6 laps behind as these guys continue to battle side by side.
Herbst all the way down to 13.
Ooh, look how loose Self got on the inside.
And that's with the fresher tires too, right?
Well, those guys are on equal tire strategy, the 12 and the 28, but they've got a guy with about 25 laps newer tires right now, moved into the 3rd spot.
44 to go. Look at the speed through the center of the corner from Michael Self. Driver out of Salt Lake City, Utah, that number 28.
Sheldon Creed doing a real nice job of running the preferred line on the outside. Michael Self, I believe, has a little faster car right now, but he's having to try to make the move through the middle of the racetrack, which is very, very difficult and challenging.
Oh boy, it's going to get tight this time off of 4. Just enough of an advantage with momentum right now for Creed to hang on to that top spot.
And Austin Terrio right now, the 52, knows he has newer tires than those guys. Just take his time. He knows it's just a matter of time before those new tires are going to really show up for him.
This time, Creed, nobody alongside as he goes through 1 and 2, but his mirrors are full.
Terrio had no trouble driving right up to this back bumper of the 28 of Michael Self, but that's where his progress is stalled right now.
That's Smith and Dean rounding out the top 5 behind these guys, leading with 40 to go here in the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. We'll be right back for more here on FS1. Michael Self leads now with just over 30 to go, but let's show you what has happened so far as we recap tonight's race here in Indianapolis. Austin Cindric dominated the first 54 laps of this race after setting a track record in qualifying.
Yeah, certainly did. He really had the field at hand, and then lost power. Riley Herbst, the 18 who was running second, drives right on by. Austin lost several positions as they changed the battery, several laps as they changed the battery.
Christian Eckes pounds the backside of one of the cars in front of him here as this one went back to green, and that pretty much ended his shot.
Yeah, right now he's being shown one lap down. Chad Finley, the guy, was on the move. He moves by the 12 of Sheldon Creed to take over the lead.
The things went from bad to worse for Cindric. He gets loose and sent to the inside retaining wall. He's listed in 23rd. Then a bunch of the cars made their call as far as when to pit and take those 4 tires.
Yeah, we had a couple differing strategies. The new tires just drove right up towards the front of the field. Then on our next caution, you know, some more of the guys came in and put tires on. Sheldon Creed takes over the lead right there from the 18 of Herbst.
And then Smith, or Michael Self, I should say, in that 28, he started to come to the front, and he's your race leader now.
He was able to get by his teammate, the 12 of Sheldon Creed. He brought Austin Theriault, the 52, with him. Remember, Austin Theriault has about 20-25 laps newer tires than does Michael Self for the 28. But right now, Michael Self has about a second-half lead over Theriault. Michael Self's doing a real nice job with those tires that are just a little bit older than Austin Theriault's.
Well, we talked about the hot weather in the area today and the havoc it was going to play with the racetrack and potentially these cars with their setups. Weather's caused our cameras a little bit of an issue here tonight, and we apologize for the technical difficulties we had there in that last segment, but we're up to speed with our gear as well.
We had a couple guys that really gambled, one of those being our leader that was leading a lot of the. So caution is on the racetrack for rain. I was going to say that's exactly what Chad Finley needs, Dalton Sargent needs, but they don't need rain.
And not that much of it. Look at that.
Wow.
Opening up all of a sudden. Self, Theriault, Creed, Smith, and Dean, the top 5, as the skies open up here for a second.
Brett Holmes, Shane Lee, Riley Herbst, Chad Finley, and Dalton Sargent round out our top 10.
Well, there was 26 to go when the rain started. We had seen some lightning way off in the distance, but we're thinking we were going to get it all in here. We'll see what happens if get a look at the radar when we have an opportunity.
Really have to give a lot of credit to Michael Self, who was able to hold off Austin Theriault and actually stretch that lead with those older tires. But nonetheless, a good pit call by Donnie Richardson to bring Austin Theriault in when he did on our most recent caution before this one right here for rain. That's a lot of rain on the windshield there, Ralph.
Yeah, it is. So if you're Finley, you kicking yourself a little bit for not having taken
without a doubt, as well as Dalton Sargent. Chad Finley doesn't run all the races. He's not racing for a championship. He has a little more room to gamble, but you mentioned earlier when Austin Theriault came and got tires on the second opportunity to put tires on, that it was a good call by the guy that was leading the points not to take too much of a gamble. Right now, Dalton Sargent, his closest pursuer in the points, is running in the 10th spot, so it'll be a pretty good gain for Theriault if this race doesn't get to finish.
Well, while we wait to see what the weather's going to do here, we'll take a quick break. See if we can dry things up and get back to racing with the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. Well, even though it has started raining here in Brownsburg, Indiana at Lucas Oil Raceway, the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards officials have made no decisions yet, Phil. In fact, as you look at it, our pictures, initially we saw big, heavy raindrops. They've gotten a little smaller in size, but it's still coming down some.
Yeah, I think it's just a miss right now. There's Riley Herbst right now. I wonder if that may have been what happened to him on that restart. His window net came down. Right now he's being shown back in the 8th spot. There's only 12 cars on the lead lap. Might as well stay on the racetrack in case we don't restart this race. They'll get a warning if we're going to restart, and he can come down pit road then and put the window net up.
Yep.
I think the last thing he wants to do is for us to be showing this so the ARCA officials can see that his window net's down, and they may elect to bring him down pit road to make sure that that he's able to put that window net up.
Closing in on just 20 laps remaining here tonight.
Yeah, we definitely did not lose the racetrack completely, though, Ralph. So racetrack really looks to be in pretty good shape. There's so much heat in that asphalt that that rain that we saw would evaporate fairly quickly.
Let's get an update from Jim Trado.
Well, guys, the 18 car, Riley Herbst, on that last restart came to the green flag and the car shut off. No reason given other than it shut off on the car. Now he's dropped the window net. We'll see if Riley's going to come to pit road. We're near his pit box. No immediate action, but Riley fighting through some issues after running top 5 throughout the entire evening.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to do. Sometimes it's hard to do for somebody standing on the outside of the car to put the window net up. You can hear it right there. Boy, that was a death rattle for sure. But he was able to get that car refired and not lose a lap, so he's still a contender if we can get this race restarted. He's very fortunate that somebody didn't run into the back of him. There he goes right there, gets it refired.
Well, look at that thing accelerate too, right? Once he got it going.
Really struggling with the window net right now.
Well, they're so tight. It can be a tough thing to do when you're just sitting on pit road.
And when you have two hands to do it, he's doing his best to try to steer that car and keep it on the racetrack and try to get that thing rehooked.
Look at the smoke coming up under the hood there.
Yeah, those look like maybe just raw fuel. For whatever reason, that thing, whether it was an ignition issue or something like that, or...
He's taking the glove off, seeing if that'll help.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of these guys get those window nets so tight, it's really a challenge to even hook them up. He's pretty darn close right there to doing it. Can just steer with his knee for a second without running into somebody in front of him.
So frustrating because he knows the laps are ticking down too, and he doesn't know if they're going to go back to green, right? Because he's sitting in a pretty decent spot here in 8th. And if they do, he's not going to have a whole lot of laps. The last thing he's going to want to do is pit just to fix a window net, right? And you're in that containment seat. Here's a radar.
Brownsburg is a little bit northwest of Speedway, Indiana, where the big track is.
Just north.
Just barely caught a little bit of it.
Yeah, you can
see that arrow between Speedway and Brownsburg.
That's right about where the racetrack is at Lucas Oil Raceway. Yeah, like you said, you can see we haven't lost the racetrack at all, have we?
Sure haven't. And the ARCA officials will listen, obviously, to the pace car driver who's out there, and also they'll poll some of the drivers. Do you think this racetrack is ready to go back racing?
And guys, the rain has stopped now, so hopefully that track being held will be a few more moments before we go back to green. So the rain has completely stopped here on pit road.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good through the window here, Jim. You can see the moisture on the screen, but it doesn't look like much of it is falling onto the window. It's just already wet.
This will be the opportunity for Dalton Sargent, Chad Finley to put tires on. Their 4 tires. They really rolled the dice and waited. They're going to lose track position. They're about the only 2 that did not put tires on the 2 opportunities that they had previous to this.
Now the back of that window net too usually slides up while the B pillar there.
Yeah, he's now got it pulled out of the back.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be that much harder, it looks like, to get it in. Well, it may still be there's usually it's down.
It's
there's usually a slot back there right off the main hoop of the roll cage. And I'd say he rides it out now, and if it starts raining again, then he'll just ride it out and finish wherever he's going to finish. Right now he's running in the 8th spot. If we get ready to go back to green, then he's going to have to come back down pit road and put that window net up.
Did he get it? Well, back in June at Pocono, Riley had a really good day.
Yes, he did. Really dominated that race there at Pocono for Joe Gibbs Racing. You see him with a huge lead right there.
Came off the final corner, claimed the victory. Big day for Riley Herbst and the family. Famed off-road racing family got themselves a victory on one of the country's most famous paved circuits. It looks to me like he's got it clicked in there, but now the back end of it is not where it's supposed to be. Will they allow him to go with it?
I think no. He took it out of the back so he could have an easier time to get it hooked in the front. But I would think that the ARCA officials are watching this broadcast as well, and I think they will bring him to pit road. That's not really a safe situation for Riley if we were to go back racing green.
Credit to him, though. It's kind of like figuring out the Rubik's Cube, isn't it?
Yeah,
He got it in there. Not an easy task. Giving the crew, looks like on pit road, a thumbs up as he rolls by.
Meanwhile, these laps are clicking away.
Yeah.
Again, Sargent and Finley are going to have fresher tires, but I don't think they're going to have enough time, Ralph, to get up there and contend for this win.
No word yet as exactly how many more laps we're going to do. 2 to go. Now we're just hearing 2 to go.
And I want to mention that Christian Eckes got his lap back, another lap back, so he is now back on the lead lap. There he is right there.
13th.
His Toyota Finerini Motorsports. Not sure what his tire strategy is right now, but he is back on the lead lap.
Let's go on board with Riley Herbst here just as the rain was starting.
I think he thought it was going to be all over, so that was a little bit self-induced right there. He unhooked that winning net, then he spent the rest of the time trying to hook it back up.
Yeah, well, it's still a hot night out there. It looks like he was hoping he'd get a little air in there as quick as he could.
Yeah, good point.
Trying to get his hand out there and direct some of that air in.
Yeah, those winning nets pretty much seal off the air coming inside these cars.
Coming to 1 to go. All right, let's set your field for you as we're coming to 1 to go. Self, Theriault, top 2, then Smith and Creed.
Yeah, back in row 2. There's the Greed car right there. Gus Dean, Brett Holmes in the 23. There's Shane Lee in the 22. There's Herbst in the 18. Bobby Gerhardt, a nice run, as well as Thad Moffitt.
Sure has
Both
been.
running right now up in the top 10. And there's our 2 guys with the freshest tires in the field, the 77 of Sargent and the 51 of Finley. Will they have enough time with only 12 laps to go when we restart? And a bunch of cars in front of them also.
Everybody lined up. Little bit of a break from rain, but we're set to go back to racing in Indianapolis.
Theriault right on the back bumper of Michael Self. Remember, a little bit fresher tires. How about Dalton Sargent already up about 4 positions from where he restarted?
Battle for the lead. It's a good one. 5 cars, 6 cars all fighting 3 wide as we come off of 4 in about 3rd.
Somebody bounced hard. It looked like Zane Smith, the 55, bounced hard off the wall. How about Sargent already up to the 4th spot with those fresh tires?
Sargent in the 77 diving inside of Creed. Can he get another spot? That's the car that won this race just a year ago. He's got 3rd.
This might be the best strategy of all. Chad Bryant waited and waited and waited to put those tires on. Dalton's already up to the 3rd spot with 10 to go.
Self trying to open up as much of a gap as he can. Terrio, he's got Sargent all over the back of his machine now. Sargent looking inside as they go into one.
It was potentially a big point loss for Dalton Sargent. Maybe a point gain here as he gets by Terrio. Only one to go.
He's got a very fast race car. Inside of 10 laps remaining, and he's already challenging for the lead.
Boy, it shows you what those 4 tires are worth. Michael Self doing his best to hold off those 4 tires on Dalton Sargent.
Oh, it's going to be tough to do as they come out of 2. Sargent inching up alongside. Self doing everything he can to hold on to the lead.
Boy, he's
leaning on him.
Really pinching him down, trying to get him down on the flatter part of the racetrack. Sargent's got it.
Dalton Sargent taking the lead here with 7 to go.
And Ralph, now he's just going to drive away.
Boy, did they play that strategy just right, and they got a break with the rain.
Ooh, Austin Terrio bounces off the wall on the exit of turn number 4.
Now the fight is for second place.
Remember, Chad Finley, the 51 car, has fresh tires as well. He's running 4th right now.
Sargent came into the night, that 77, second in the point standings, looking to claim a win here tonight.
I cannot believe how fast Dalton Sargent was able to mow through the field with those 4 fresh tires. Opened up almost a half a straightaway lead right now over Michael Self in second.
Sargent, the winner in Iowa, taking the victory at Salem. First race there, on his way with 4 to go here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
See Self and Terrio doing a nice job holding Finley off, that also has 4 tires, but Dalton Sargent made up so much ground on the restart. He was on those guys in just a matter of a handful of laps.
Yeah, Finley, just as you see him here, that 4th car in line, just has not been able to capitalize on those fresh tires the way Sargent did. 3 to go.
He's caught Terrio. Not sure he's going to have enough time to get by him. Coming to 2 to go.
There it is, 2 to go. And coming up next, following our race, MLB Whip Around. Joel Klatt, Frank Thomas, and Eric Karros, right after the conclusion of our race here in Indianapolis.
Terrio would love to keep Finley behind him. That's another spot, a few more points.
Oh boy, Finley drifts up. Terrio tries to cut back down, and the white flag is out. Dalton Sargent in the car that won here just a year ago played the strategy perfectly. They got a break with a final caution due to the rain. Got the fresh tires, made him work, and he's going to take the win at Lucas Oil Raceway in the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200.
What a great strategy. I wonder if there would be enough time left, but man, did he come on there at the end.
Well, now they can all lower those window nets. What a run by Dalton Sargent and his crew as they played it just right. Sargent by a second over Self at the line. We'll be back to talk to the winner right after this on FS1. Well, we definitely lost racetrack now, but all we have to worry about is victory lane.
That's right.
It is raining hard here at the Sioux Chief PowerPEX 200. Let's take a look at our Sioux Chief race results as this one is concluded now. Behind Dalton Sargent across the line was Michael Self in second place. Finley and Terrio ended up swapping spots and going third and fourth.
Yeah, good finish for Sheldon Creed with another top 5. You see Gus Dean, Zane Smith, Brett Holmes, another top 10, and Christian Eckes rebounded to a 10th place finish.
Good run for him after damaging that hood. Thad Moffitt, Bobby Gerhardt, we talked about, they were inside the top 10 for a lot of the night.
Yeah, got finished on the lead lap. Riley Herbst had to make a late pit stop to put up that window net. He finishes in the 13th position.
Will Kimmel, 26 here tonight. You just take a look deep through the rest of the field, and the boy Austin Cindric, they credited with 23rd. Let's go to Jim Trado.
Well, he had to do it the hard way. 4 fresh tires late with his crew chief Chad Bryant making that call. Dalton Sargent has won for the 3rd time in 2017 in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. You had to pedal that car all race long. You were so dejected after qualifying. You had a handful. How that handful turned into a winning race car?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be one of the toughest races of my life kind of going into it. You know, struggled here a lot last year, but the guys at Cunningham Motorsports just did such a great job bringing a great big time 77 forward, and you know, I can't be more than thankful. We had some really good pit stops. Definitely struggled at the start of the race, just way too free. But crew chief Chad Bryant made an awesome call to stay out there, and that's what ultimately got us the win. So.
You talked about the corners being the issue. You've been thinking about this all year since last July. What did you have to do tonight to get in position to win this race?
Really, you know, I think last year I just struggled all around, so I had to just come into the race with a completely new game plan, new setup, and really relied a lot on crew chief Chad Bryant, as well as last year's driver of the 77, Chase Briscoe, talking to him about what he did here, and you know, I just can't be more than thankful. It's pretty awesome to go 2 in a row now and 3 for the year.
The rain dance for the winning team. Dalton Sargent here on a wet racetrack, but smiles around. Cunningham Motorsports bags another one with Sargent in the 77 and Victor Lane for the 2nd straight year. New drivers, same result at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Pretty sure we're going to see that same car back here in Lucas Oil Raceway next summer.
Exactly.
Our next race will be next week. Mod Space 150, Pocono Raceway. You'll see that Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern on FS1. You and I will both be there for that. Looking forward to it.
Dalton Sargent makes a little bit of a gain on Austin Theriault. If the rain would have stayed around with 25 laps to go, it would have looked a little bit different. But great pit strategy by Chad Bryant to wait, and Dalton Sargent really got up on the wheel late, Ralph.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can make the calls at crew chief, but your driver still had to do it, and he wheeled it up to the front, didn't he?
Yeah, Chad Finley got 4 tires as well.
Yeah,
we know how
absolutely.
good that car was, and then he ended up finishing the 3rd spot.
And it all began with a great start on the restart there.
Without a doubt.
That made a big difference. Well, you got to get a selfie when you're in victory lane.
There's Chad Bryant right there, crew chief coming to victory lane.
Well, Austin Cindric sure looked like he was going to be the guy, but when it's all done, it's Dalton Sargent that ends up taking the win. Don't forget MLB whip around right around the corner after we say goodbye. Jim Trado, Phil Parsons, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Lucas Oil Raceway. Congratulations to Dalton Sargent on the win at the Sioux PowerPEX 200. So long, everybody.